We got a goody long weekend, no show Friday, so we loaded it up to go into our first week of June, which starts when? Saturday? That wasn't the right thing to say. I don't know anything. But we have a big show. I know that. We have Patriots Executive VP of Player Personnel, Elliott Wolf, here celebrating his promotion, his draft. We'll talk a little Drake May. Can't wait. Maybe a little Green Bay as well. Three-time Pro Bowler for the Niners and Titans, Mr. Delaney Walker. Just a gentleman. Just the guy, kind of guy you want to be friends with off the field. Haven't seen him since I was in London and always loved catching up with him. And then we have... You know, I got to save my energy a little bit because we got a monster coming on the show. We have Jared Allen. Jared Allen's here to talk about mullets and defenses and God knows what else. Jared Allen on the program. He's promoting mullets. There's some sort of mullet-a-thon or something that we're going to get into. Can't wait. He's the perfect person for that. He always keeps it real. We'll talk a little Kirk Cousins. We'll talk a little, maybe he's got advice for Aaron Jones. He had a bit of an interdivision trade back in the day, ending his career as a Bear, which is crazy. We looked it up this morning. He had a sack in his first game as a Chicago Bear. I can't even picture him in that jersey of Teddy Bridgewater, a Viking at the time. So we did our history. We did our research here on the show. So we've got him. We've got Delaney Walker, and we are not just talking history. We're talking about the future, guys. It's officially 100 days until the NFL season kicks off. It's Ravens and Chiefs, the rematch game at Arrowhead. I cannot wait for that. And to help us celebrate, to tell us, talk to us all about the AFC East and his team and his part of the world, I would like to welcome in and congratulate the guy calling the shots in New England. I've never met you before, Patriots Executive VP of Player Personnel. I hope I got the title right, Mr. Elliott Wolf. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Congratulations on the promotion.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been an exciting spring for Coach Mayo and myself and the staff, and we're excited to get rolling. And
it's been 20 years. It's not like it just happened over a couple of months there. 20 years since you started your NFL journey. When I say that to you, if I were to give you sort of like a Polaroid camera and say, take a snapshot of your most proud moment or day or pick, Green Bay, Cleveland, Boston, what are you putting in a frame?
Yeah, I would say, winning the Super Bowl with the Packers in 2010 is number one. Number two would be, having the opportunity to present my dad in the Hall of Fame, which was 2015, I believe. And then, the Crafts and Coach Mayo and everyone giving me the opportunity here with the Patriots to try to turn this thing around and get us going in the right direction.
And I can't wait to see what that moment is for you over the next 20-something years in the NFL there in New England, of course. You look good in the blue. It's a good fit for you. I want to ask about your dad, the legend, Ron Wolf. You bring him up. You get to be part of his Hall of Fame induction. That's so beautiful. What's one really specific thing that you learned from your dad that you used in this draft where you're the guy, the boss calling the shots in a really high-pressure situation?
Yeah, I would just say trust in what you see and believe in what you see and picking really good football players, not getting caught up in the hype and just kind of doing the right thing for the team at all times. I mean, those are pretty simple things that he's taught me. A lot of other people along the way have taught me those things as well, and just try to stick with that this year as we move through the draft.
That polo is looking suspiciously like the '90s Patriots blue. Are you foreshadowing something? Are we throwing back this year?
It might just be the lighting right now. I'm not sure. It's kind of the normal color.
I would love that. I want to talk a little bit about Green Bay, of course. A few years after, your dad. We're talking about your dad, but you get to Green Bay. You spend 14 seasons there under Ted Thompson. And you're there learning, absorbing. They run things a little bit differently. How would you say that experience formed or shaped your philosophy when approaching this new team and this Patriots roster?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say a couple things. Number one, growing up in the system in Green Bay was kind of my dad's system. I never worked for my dad, but, that was the system that was in place there. And then kind of moving to another sort of, not to say opposite system, but a lot of different things in New England, and being able to just kind of take and shape our new system moving forward with the best aspects of both of those schemes and systems is something that I think will be really advantageous to us.
What's the biggest difference from going from the Packers' unique ownership situation to having an owner like RKK?
Well, yeah, that's a good question too. So no owner in Green Bay. It was really just kind of all football. And then I went to Cleveland for 2 years with Mr. Haslam. and then moving over to New England with Mr. Kraft and Jonathan. It's been really good. Really, all three of those situations, while different, they all want what's best for the team. They all want to win, and so they've been nothing but supportive of us, through free agency and the draft, and it's been really exciting.
Year 4 for you in New England. You've been around Jerod Mayo, who's been so close to that team this entire time. I love him. Could not have been more excited when he got the gig. Was lobbying for him, saying whatever I could. And it's really exciting to have this new page and this page turn. And there's continuity, which I think was really important too, Mr. Kraft. What's your relationship like? If you were to describe the dynamic, what does that sound like?
I mean, it's been too good to be true so far. And he and I have joked, like, obviously this is the honeymoon phase. We haven't really dealt with any adversity. We haven't lost any games. But as we move forward, we know those conversations, those hard conversations that come up. I think there's a huge level of mutual respect between us, and I feel like we'll be able to navigate those things as they come.
Well, the big thing is, when does Drake May start? So let's just put this as a let's sit in the group therapy session. You're here, it's you, and it's Mr. Mayo, coach. Who makes the decision on when he gets out there?
I think those will be some important conversations for us to have. Right now, it's Jacoby Brissett. He's taken the first reps, and we're excited about what he's shown, not only off the field but also on the field with his throwing ability. And then Drake May. Let's be honest, we've had him for 3 weeks now. There's a long way to go for all of our rookies and all of our players as we adapt to this new scheme that Coach Van Pelt is implementing offensively, and so we'll have those conversations as they arise. I'm sure it's going to be a collaborative approach, as it's been so far with really all the big decisions that we've made. And, they're all 4 of the quarterbacks we have on the roster right now are working hard and ready to go.
Honeymoon phase. I loved hearing that from you, Elliott. That's great. What is your philosophy on developing a quarterback? Your own, you obviously, we've seen it in New England. We've seen Aaron Rodgers. We can talk about that a little bit. But when it comes to developing a quarterback, what is the Elliott Wolf philosophy?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a specific Elliott Wolf philosophy. I think every person and player is different. So I think you have to be true to what you're seeing and listen to the coaches and really understand like who's ready, who's not ready. And again, like I said, in this particular situation, Drake's been with us for about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so we'll kind of see how it goes here. Maybe he'll be ready, maybe he won't.
I'm so curious, just because you were there with Mac Jones and the way that it went, however it was handled, how, developing a quarterback is such a sensitive thing. How much has that situation influenced how this group is going to help with these decisions? Like the Mac Jones experiment, sorry.
Yeah, I would say, again, every situation's different. The main thing that we've been able to take away is just being able to support not only Drake, but every quarterback we have. Just throw every level of support that we possibly can at the quarterbacks. And those are things that, it's whether it's coaching, whether it's something off the field, whether it's virtual reality, whatever the case may be, just really having the willingness to support whoever the quarterback is in every facet that we possibly can.
Yeah, and Coach Mayo said that OC Alex Van Pelt is the lead guy in Drake's development. I've heard great things about him. You were a part of bringing him to New England. You spent 6 years with him in Green Bay when he was Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach. So what is it about this guy that people need to know, rivals need to know, your own fan base needs to know, that gets the best out of whoever, like you're saying, the quarterback might be?
I would say, and again, this is something that's important to myself and Jerod as well, and that's why, including Van Pelt and DeMarcus Covington, our defensive coordinator, Jeremy Springer, our special teams coordinator, all of us really care about developing people and care about being good teammates. And that's really one thing that Coach Van Pelt has brought with him from Cleveland and some of his other stops. The very first, again, it's voluntary during OTAs, but the very first meeting they had offensively, it was really just a who are you session. Like, get to know everybody in the room, get to know everybody, what they're about, what's their why. And him being able to develop those relationships with the players, and obviously his vast offensive knowledge from all the stops that he's had, those are some things that are going to mesh well and really try to get the best out of the players that we have.
Elliott, you've had some great defenses. I'm thinking about the 2010 Packers, #2 ranked defense, Charles Woodson, Clay Matthews. You spent 2 years in Cleveland. You mentioned with the Haslams, but also with Myles Garrett, who's terrifying. You know good defenses. I've talked a lot about your defense this offseason because it's completely slept on, like egregiously, irresponsibly slept on. This team had injuries. Judon, Gonzalez last year, 2 absolute stars when they're out there. How does this group stack up to other defenses you've been around in your career?
Yeah, I would just say I think one of the most impressive things about our defense last year was the fact that they never quit. I mean, our offense was very notably struggled to put up points, and the defense just came out every week, and they were absolute warriors, taking on the run, taking on the pass, and even mentally with losing some of our better players throughout the season, they just kind of showed up every week and did their thing. We had some guys really step up into bigger roles, and I'm really excited for what the future holds. My one regret so far from this offseason, particularly with the draft, is we had 8 draft picks. We only drafted 1 defensive player, and so I've apologized to Coach Covington about that. But obviously he wanted what's best for the team too. So that's one regret that I've had so far. But we'll see how it goes. We feel good about the guys we do have in here.
I love that. I feel like a lot of fans after free agency were like, and obviously the Gerard Mayo comment, which you so eloquently addressed head on, like shouldn't have said that, rookie, whatever. When New England fans say, like, why didn't you spend the money? What is it because it's sort of like the Ted Thompson-y sort of, the draft is the foundation that we then build on? What would you say to fans who are like, why didn't we spend money?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would argue that we did spend money. We signed what we felt was the best offensive tackle in free agency.
Woohoo!
And the best tight end in free agency. They just so happen to be guys that we retain. So, we gave Kyle Duggar a contract extension. We added pieces at almost every level of the team. I think we signed a player at every position group except for linebacker. So, I think what you said about draft and develop, that's what we're going to be. That's what we strive to be. That's where the core and the foundation is going to be. And, some of our deals that we did in free agency were extending players that, we drafted and developed previously. So I think that's the key. We were in on a lot of players. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we just felt like they either, it just didn't make sense financially. And free agency is a hit or miss business. We were hit or miss in 2021. We have a few guys that are still here and a few that didn't work out when we spent all that money. So, every situation is different, and we feel like we did what was best for the team.
And I love a Kyle Duggar. I love a Lenore Ryan vibe. He sent me a bunch of sweatshirts one time. Big fan of him. Speaking of college, this is really random, but is there any chance I can get a story out of you from like the 2000s Miami vibe, as you were a student assistant, I believe, there? And I'm looking at the list of dudes you scouted, right? These are the national champs, Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, those guys. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, I would say my favorite story from that is, Ed Reed was the best player on the team in 2001, or in my opinion. He was a free safety, and he was just taking the game over. And, that's not to say something lightly. That doesn't sound so crazy now, but I think there were like 6 or 7 first-round picks on that team. And I remember I was a recruiting volunteer, so I wasn't really too involved with much other than like stuffing envelopes back when people did envelopes. But, so we'd be blowing people out, and they would take Ed Reed out, and they'd put this true freshman in there. And the true freshman, his backup was Sean Taylor. And Sean Taylor wasn't like a big time recruit. I think he was mostly a running back in high school. And I remember telling some of the Packers scouts who I had, relationships with at the time, some of the Packers scouts, like, yeah, Ed Reed's the best player on this team, but there might be a guy that is a true freshman that's better than him. And nobody believed me. It was the whole, like, oh, the next guy's always better thing. But, you'd watch the game and it'd be unbelievable. I mean, and then obviously, I would say that was a unique time.
Wow.
And those are 2 of the best football players that I've ever seen, and one happened to be backing up the other for a year, which is crazy.
The Packers passed on Ed Reed in that draft, I think.
I think so. I was in college though, so you can't put that one on me.
Javon Walker, I believe, was the pick, but Ed Reed and Sean Taylor, may he rest in peace. Unbelievable. That is a wild story, and I love that. Last one for you. Listen, you're in New England. You're going to face Aaron Rodgers twice. I love this for you. A division rival. Your second year in Green Bay was that insane 2005 draft. Unforgettable moment. Can't write the history of NFL drafts without it. What do you remember, like, what you were thinking that night as Rodgers slid?
Yeah, I remember going into the office that week, and Ted Thompson, our GM, he always watched film in the draft room. And there were certain times where you knew he was like deep in thought and didn't really want to be bothered. So I remember, I think it was like, this is back when the draft was Saturday, Sunday. I think it was either the Thursday or Friday before the draft. There started to be these rumors that if Aaron Rodgers didn't go 1 to San Francisco, that he might actually slide. And if you looked at all the teams, like, it was kind of an interesting year because a lot of the teams, didn't need quarterbacks at the time. So I remember walking in the draft room a couple times to, put up a different magnet or whatever. And he was in there and he was watching Aaron Rodgers for like, I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating. It was like 6 or 7 hours he was in there. And I remember thinking like, oh, he's still in here watching. Like, if he slides, we're going to be drafting this guy. And sure enough, it happened. And, it was an interesting time. I remember they kept showing him. His hair was all gelled up. He was awkward.
He was so mad.
He was super mad. And really, I have a lot of respect for Aaron. And obviously he's a Hall of Fame player, but just seeing that fueling him, even after it didn't need to fuel him, like talking to him, after he'd won the Super Bowl, he was still talking about his draft day slide and how that was something that he used for motivation. It's pretty cool to see a relentless competitor like that use.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady did it too. And that's, you're trying to rebuild the next page of that legacy up there in New England. You get to face Aaron Rodgers twice this year. I mean, I hope there's a little extra something. You're speaking very highly of him, but now he's a Jet, Elliott. Get with the program. You got to hate Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, we got a little something for him. We got a little something for him. Yeah.
With that defense. Last one for you, the toughest one. Is this a playoff team?
Are the Patriots a playoff team? Listen, we're not really playoffs or bust. I would say we're just looking for progress. Gerard has a saying, it's process, progress, payoff, and that's really something that we're striving towards. We have a lot of good players on our team. We have a lot of things that didn't go right for whatever reason the last couple of years, but we have a lot of good players on our team, and we're hopeful that we're headed in the right direction.
Process, progress, payoff. Love it. Congrats on everything so far, writing your legacy the next 20 years in the NFL, making these decisions. And thank you for sharing the stories. It's amazing.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kay.
Nice to meet you. Enjoy, I don't even know, no off-season for you. Did you watch the roast, Elliott?
I did not watch the roast.
That's a lie.
Missed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you. Do you. Okay, next we have Delaney Walker. So nice to meet Elliott Wolf, of course. Calling the shots, doing his thing, recently promoted. We have, no Limp Bizkit t-shirt out of you today, huh? We got Delaney Walker on the program. Jared Allen coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Process, progress, payoff. That Ed Reed story is amazing. Hamilton. He's young.
Yeah, he's only 42.
He's talking about back when people used to use envelopes. I was like, you're 42, like easy there, Pony Express. Like you're very funny.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a honeymoon collaborative decision on who, when. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, no, I like hearing that though, because you get all those different perspectives, and it's not just on Gerard Mayo. It's,
don't you think,
everybody collectively?
If that's me, I just want the decision out of my hands, and it usually is. You know what I mean? Like something will happen that he'll get forced into action, or something will. You know what I'm saying? Like. Not even just injury. I just feel like these things just have a way of, the decision gets made, and that's the best thing. And you and I know, you and I have talked to coaches about this very thing, about having to make, it's like there's a way of letting the game decide, because no coach wants that on them.
Yeah, it's the hardest decision to have to make, I think, because there is no right answer. As he said, every player is different and needs different things. So it is funny, though. You're right. Like sometimes how these situations kind of dictate themselves, like with Rodgers and Favre, Jordan Love and Rodgers, we saw like with Brady and Bledsoe, obviously.
Yeah.
Like
it's kind of like in retrospect, like like we don't need to ask the question because it'll resolve itself. Like that's the truth. But you're trying to get with that question. I think we were trying to just get into what's the dynamic.
Yeah, and it is interesting to hear that process is going to be a collaborative one, and it's not just on, because sometimes it is just the head coach that makes that call.
That's not Gerard though. Even when he wins 2 Super Bowls for this team, I think he'd be collaborative.
Yeah, which is great. I think is a great thing for the organization to hear that.
High on the defense, I love that. Not a playoff team, he said.
Yeah, or. Yeah.
Kind of.
That they don't look at it as playoffs or bust. Yeah.
Tough question.
But yeah, it's
tough question.
Yeah, but it is. I mean,
where do you think he was? At a hotel? Where was he? At his house?
I don't know.
I wanted to ask, but I felt like I don't know him well
Yeah.
enough to ask. He was delightful.
Yeah, a big fan.
One thing I didn't ask him. I wanted to know like who's somebody I need to keep my eye on. It's always fun because the GMs can't like have a favorite because it's like losing leverage when they pump somebody up. But I would have liked to see him back on the Evan Adams Show. Big thanks to Elliott Wolf for joining us. Nice to meet him, of course, and good luck to him in this rest of the offseason. Tom Brady's got a retirement there coming up in Foxborough. Love Foxborough and looking for the bounce back in the AFC East. Right now, we get to welcome in one of my favorite people, 3-time Pro Bowl tight end, spending 14 seasons, smiley as ever, the Niners, the Titans, co-host of the very important Slips and Picks 500. Delaney, how is Slips and Picks 500?
It's, we haven't started yet, but we probably make some changes. I'm excited to see what the next season contains.
Let's see what your shirt contains. What do we got? What are we rocking here today?
Oh, Lord of the Rings. Come on now. Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Let's go.
What do you mean, Lord of the Rings? What is on your T-shirt? The movie?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings. It's an actual script from the book.
Oh my gosh. I always learn something about you. I love what is it called? The Silmarillion? That's the one where it's in the Elvish language. I used to read these books when I was in high school. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd, Delaney. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I remember it very well. Okay, there's some news coming in, so we're going to get to that. Everyone's texting me and going crazy, but I want to talk about the Niners first before we get to the Titans. Coming off another Super Bowl loss, of course. The bounce backs, all anybody's talking about. Was enough done that you think that they can just waltz back in and win it this time?
I mean, with the free agency and the draft, it's telling. I mean, they had a great year, like you said, being able to go as far as they did, but in short on a play where I feel like, everyone was told before the game and, then it happens and you kind of shoot yourself in the foot when you're not prepared. But that's a tough question. I think the 49ers have the players to contend and go back to it, but it's still the question is, will they get Brandon back? Mm-hmm. We don't know. That's still out there. So they may lose a few guys who got them there, but again, you still got Christian McCaffrey, Debo, and Kittle. Who knows? I wish that they may have the opportunity to get back there, but I'm just not sure about it.
What do they need? What would convince you that they could get back? And is it a personnel thing? Is it a decision-making thing? Is it the rest of the field? What's holding you back from saying absolutely?
I mean, because this is the NFL. Every year, you never know what teams are going to be contenders. And again, you got the Chiefs. We know they're always up there. But the 49ers has been up there the last few years. But that changes, things happen. Other teams get stronger, play a little better. So it's just tough for me to say. Being in this league for a long time, I know it's any given Sunday. Anything can happen on Sunday. But again, like I said, I wish the 49ers can go back and have that year that they had last year. But again, like I said, I'm not a genie. I can't tell the future.
There's a report that Ayuk wants $30 million a year. Should they give it to him?
I mean, if you looked at last year, the things he did, I feel like he was the reason why they were so successful. He made some big-time plays when they really needed it. And he's the type of player that goes out every week, and he's the same. He never have a down. Is he worth 30 million a year? That's not for me to say. I'm not a GM. I'm not doing all the stats and comparing him to other players. I do think he's a hell of a player. If he don't get what he wants there, I'm sure he will get it somewhere else. And I wish that the best for him on getting the contract that he seeks.
You were in San Francisco when Jim Harbaugh got hired, Delaney, back in 2011, middle of training camp. Everyone says these amazing things about him. Players will come on the show and just say they're going to go to the AFC Championship game. They're going to beat the Chiefs. They're going to, because of Jim Harbaugh, the turnaround will be that crazy. I want to know from you, and first week of August, they're in training camp. What are these Charger players complaining about most with Jim Harbaugh?
Complaining about the most? Probably not getting breaks. Like other teams, you'll watch other teams go to the movies or go swimming or, like they have some type of team activity outside of football.
Right.
Well, Jim Harbaugh not doing that. He probably saying, look, while that team is out swimming or going to the movies, we're going to run 70 plays today. We're going to get better today. So there could be some things older players are not used to, getting that break that they need. So I can see them guys complaining about that a little bit. But again, it all pays off at the end of the day, and I'm sure that's his message.
Yeah, it's just interesting because everyone's just, he's like and there's got to be something. I guess it's working hard. What did he unlock in your game?
Jim Harbaugh and G-Roll, they unlocked my knowledge of the game. They actually made me understand the game a lot better, meaning the X and O's of the game. If you know my past time with them, I played a lot of positions, and that's where the name, the Swiss Army knife, came from, because they unlocked the cheat code in me pretty much, where I can see a defense and know exactly what to do. And I'm thankful for that, because, they gave me the ability to be able to understand defenses and coverages and be successful in the NFL. So,
I mean, I saw the Greg Roman. I can't believe you call him G-Ro, first of all. I didn't know that was his nickname. But, he knows Jim. You played for G-Ro as well. Sell me on the idea that he's more than a run the ball. That's what it's, sell me on that idea, because I have some questions, because that's sort of his wizardry, is running the ball. He gets a lot out of his quarterbacks, but from a dynamic, there's more layers to him. What has he got?
It's way more layers. With Jim Harbaugh, he's the type of coach that gives us more than one play to go into an offense. So once we break that huddle, we probably have 3 plays that we had called out, and we can change them at the line of scrimmage. Yes, he likes to run the ball. That'll be our first option, but he also gives us the best option to throw the ball, put the quarterback in a better situation, or not giving up big plays. You got to be a run-first offense. I think that opens up all the other plays for us to call with the play action, the drop back. So, again, I just think with him and Greg Roman together, they just come up with great schemes. Yes, everyone said they like to run the ball. He did that with Michigan. They had a great running back group that they were able to just pound the ball a lot and then make the big plays when they needed to in the air. And I think that's the similarity that you're going to see with the Chargers. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, but they're also going to have some plays that come off of it that it's going to have defenses turned around and not knowing what to do. And that's what brings the excitement in his offense.
And we'll see what Will Dissly, Hayden Hurst at the tight end spot. Maybe they'll become well-rounded tight ends there in the AFC West. Tough division for them. Let's go to the AFC South, my friend. Last time I saw you, you were wearing a Limp Bizkit t-shirt. We're sitting in this stadium in London. It's completely empty before. I think you had just gotten off of a flight. And you and I don't know if you remember, we're screaming to an empty stadium, Derrick Henry! Give the ball to Derrick Henry! Because we were scratching our heads like, what do we do? Now there's a new coach, Brian Callahan. There's no Derrick Henry. What do you make of the loss of Derrick Henry with this Tennessee squad?
Very, very tough when everyone knows we pound and ground. You know what I mean? We had Derrick Henry. We had the king himself running the ball. And, that makes it very easy on an offense when you got a guy back there like Derrick Henry, who you can get the ball to, and he can be explosive and turn the game around at any moment. But I think the Titans did a great job on trying to, fill that void. Tajay Spears, great running back. We saw what he did with Derrick Henry and how explosive he was. And then bringing in Tony Pollard, I feel like that 1-2 punch is not going to be a Derrick Henry, but it'll be close. They'll be able to run the ball. We'll be able to throw the ball off the backfield. I just think he knows what to do. Brian and the GM ran up there. They know what to do, and I feel like they're going to figure some things out by adding receivers on the outside to help the run game, which we did.
All about the run game with you today.
It starts with the run game. I tell everybody a great offense is they got to have a great run game. If you can't get 4 or 5 yards on a run, I mean, you're not going anywhere.
I was watching your eyes, watching that footage of Derrick Henry trying to sell me Tennessee without him. What do you even think seeing him in a Ravens uniform?
It's crazy. When I first saw him in the Ravens uniform, I'm like, he actually looks bigger. I don't know if it's the black and purple, but the man looks crazy in that uniform. I hate to say that. I know all the Titan fans is going to hate me for saying that, but I'm happy for Derrick. He looks great in the purple and black. They're going to be explosive.
Maybe it's because Lamar looks so lean that it makes Derrick Henry look bigger.
I mean, Derrick Henry just looked big in general. When he was in the Titans uniform, he just looked like a giant standing next to me. And I'm the tight end. He looked like the tight end. I look like the running back. So, I mean, it's Derrick Henry. Anywhere he goes, he's going to look like a giant.
I will say this to Titans fans who were like, about this whole conversation here. I like what they did. If you look at what they did, new group of receivers, but you have DeAndre Hopkins. You got to be excited about the addition of Calvin Ridley. That's the number one. They made some moves. The question then becomes, and you seem to believe in Brian Callahan, what he can do. He knows what he's doing. They're on the ball, blah, blah, blah. Will Levis, you've seen a bit. Is Will Levis the dude? Does he get the Delaney Walker, check of approval?
Of course, Mr. Mayonnaise himself. Yes, definitely. No, I feel like what he did last year was phenomenal. Just to come in there and play very well, show guys that he's tough. He want to win games. He'll put his body on the line just to get a W. And you want to see that out of your quarterback. We don't want him to get hurt. You got to calm down a little bit this year. We need you for every game. But I like what I've seen. We think that Will is our franchise quarterback. We need players to help him out, and I feel like we did that. We added so many guys on the outside that can make plays down the field. It's exciting. I just think Will is excited about this situation. Having some guys he can just throw the ball up to, they can make plays for him. I think that's big. I think he's our guy. I'm excited to see what he do this year. Again, we just got to keep him healthy.
I wanted to, before we let you go, and I like your optimism about Will Levis and the stamp of approval. That was emphatic, and we like to hear it. And I do like Ridley, and I think DeAndre Hopkins could do a bit of a resurgence there with a different quarterback and a different environment. Last week, we got to talk about this. You helped get the SmartHeart Act bill signed into law in the state of Tennessee. What is that? Why does it matter?
So I'm gonna say why does it matter is because today's society, we having a lot of kids in any sport that's not just football tend to have cardiac arrest or have heart issues, and we're not having a properly trained staff on hand or having an equipment on hand to save these kids' life. And with this SmartHeart Act, we're going to do that. In the state of Tennessee, every school will get an AED, CPR training, and it will be 100 or I want to say 50 yards from every football field, gymnasium, classrooms, where these teachers or these staff members will have the proper training, which the state of Tennessee will provide for them so they can save lives. Because time, it does matter in these situations. So we want to be able to give them everything in their hand so they can be able to do that properly, make sure that, we save our kids' lives that's out there trying to, play a sport or just even walking around class. Anything that, can cause a kid to have a cardiac arrest, we just want to make sure they have the proper training and the equipment to save lives.
It surprised me when I was looking this over that wasn't already a thing. And I think it requires high schools to have a defibrillator near where kids are engaged in sports activities. That seems like something that should have always been in place. And I, as always, appreciate you leading the charge and just making any little bit of a community in the world a better place. And I mean that, Delaney, you're the best.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're the best. 14 seasons in the NFL. Big-time Will Levis fan, Mr. Mayo, Delaney Walker. We will talk to you soon with another T-shirt.
Awesome. All right.
See you later, Delaney, and enter.
No, thank you.
This guy. Let's see the mullet. Give us a profile. Come on, baby. Okay. All right. Looking strong. Jared Allen up next. How are we on time? How are we on time, Ham? Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Hamilton, what was the newsy stuff from Elliott?
I think the stuff about it being a collaborative decision and when they're going to decide to go to Drake May.
Mm-hmm. Playoff team.
Playoff team. I thought that stuff was good.
What did he say he was most proud of? Oh, the
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Him having a little something for Aaron is good too. That's a big bite.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love he said it, but it's like, oh.
Aaron just
the part. Yeah, I know. Just the part. just the part where I say you have to hate him was funny too. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. That was good.
And that's when he said, "Yeah, I've got a little something for him."
Yeah. The Sean Taylor story is great.
I think we're like, yeah, the Sean Taylor story. Yes, that was good. That was all in the Ed Reed bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And him and Mayo, like the honeymoon, the honeymoon face.
That should be quoted. How would Elliott describe the dynamic between? You know what I wanted to ask him that we didn't ask him? Like, why don't you have a GM? Like,
yeah,
it's cool to be alt. Cool, we get it. Like, it'd be easier if I could just call you the GM, Elliott. Why do I have to call you the VP of player person? Why is New England like so? I thought that would go. We should have asked him that. I thought that would go with Bill. You know?
Yeah.
That should have gone.
Yeah, and with him getting that promotion, and
but
part of it, I
guess,
part
GM.
of it, I think,
like
I was reading a little bit, the interview process and the rules around that might have something to do with it.
Oh.
I don't. Yeah.
I've always thought it was awkward, and then I thought it would die with Belichick. Anyway.
I've been going hard. Hey, sacked by Jared Allen. Oh, I'm going so hard. Oh, I'm going so hard. Oh, it's a sack by Jared Allen. Tell me what you know about.
Our NFL legend turned real-life cowboy turned professional curler back on the show, 4-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowl defensive end, spending time with the Chiefs, the Vikings. A quick stint with the Bears where you sacked Teddy Bridgewater on your first game when you were there. You led the entire league in sacks twice. Jared Allen, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm really good. Really good. I always love talking to you. What have you been up to since last time I talked to you? What's up?
Oh, not much. Just hanging out, moving, all the fun stuff, chasing kids. Life. That's it.
Where are we moving?
And, we've been building a house just down the street from the previous house. So, all that fun stuff. And then acquired a really cool thing called Mullet Champ. So we're putting on mullet competitions. So, life is just fantastic.
Tell me everything I need to know about the USA Mullet Championships and, of course, where I can sign up.
Go to usamulletchamp.com, sign up. We just opened registration a couple of days ago. It's awesome. And then, a lot of the proceeds, all the proceeds raised by the contestants go to my foundation, Jared Allen's Homes for Wounded Warriors. So that's part of the, we judge based on fans vote, how much money is raised, and the judges voted. We got some killer judges this year. It's been a fun deal. I got introduced to it last year, and then we actually got it. We actually got it acquired this year. The engagement's nuts. The kids are the best. That's the best part. We give out prize money. We're always trying to figure out ways to to elevate it now that we have full control, and hopefully do scholarships and stuff. But the kids contest is hands down the best. And dude, it's amazing some of the flow that these kids got at such a young age.
Okay, first of all, there's a couple of things here. This is not, you said all of the proceeds. Everyone has to understand that. Like, if you're hanging around and want to donate to something where your money's making a difference, Jared Allen is having 100% of the contestants' donations go to Jared Allen's Homes for Wounded Warrior Foundation. You've raised over $220,000 so far. It's amazing, and it's a lot of fun. And I got to ask you, some people out there, they try to do the mullet thing. They're trying to win this competition. They want the glory. What wins a mullet competition? What does the GOAT mullet look like? What are the qualifications?
Okay. All right, here we go.
Let's go.
The mullet is, it's timeless. It's a massive comeback right now. It's fantastic. You see it everywhere. But here, as one of the judges, we got some great judges. Aaron Plessinger, we got Boston Connor, coming on board from the McAfee show, myself, and then, we always want a military component to everything we do. So one of my buddies he's an Army Ranger, he's a Black Hawk Down survivor. Teddy Runcie, he's going to be one of our judges as well. So what we're looking for, if you look at our last guy who's won it, is Scott Salvador. He's won it 2 years in a row. And for me, the reason he got the nod last year is he took the mullet and he just classed it up. Dude had a 3-piece suit on. The killer shades, not the typical Viper shades. Listen, I'm always down with a Viper shade. So I'm looking for I want to see a mullet out of its, stereotypical element. That's what I want to see as a judge. And so that's what I'm hoping, these contestants this year can elevate it, right? Show me something new, show me something authentic. It's not a haircut, it's a lifestyle. And I want to see the lifestyle come through and how you display yourself.
Yeah, and no AI, because it's really quick to, if there's Photoshop and stuff. I saw this of Joe Burrow. I thought of you immediately. And said,
yes.
This wasn't real, but I was like, he's halfway there. He should go for it.
He looks like one of those lion tamers. What was the big lion tamers with the white tigers? Or tiger tamers?
I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about?
Lion tamers. You keep talking, but shouldn't he have a mullet? Why don't you pitch Joe Burrow on a mullet? Yes, he'll listen to you.
He should. He'd be a lot cooler. Everybody should have a mullet. Look at right there. There's AI generated. That's not even like a mullet. That's just kind of like just amazing flow. There's just some locks of love right there.
Are you talking about the Tiger King?
No, not the Tiger King.
I didn't think so. The guys in Vegas?
Yeah.
Siegfried and Roy?
Siegfried and Roy, that's what it was. If he had blonde hair, he looked like one of them in the 80s had a massive hair like that.
He looks like an 80s pop star, and it actually makes me quite uncomfortable, but he could maybe enter and win your 2024 Mullet Champ competition.
You got to do something with the sides, though. The sides, I want to see a distinct length difference between just having long hair. Shaped long hair is great, but I need to see some, you got to clean it up around the ears.
You got to, yeah. You're the only person who could have a mullet that I'd be into, but I love that. And it's a great crew judging. Everybody go check that out. And of course, it goes for a great cause. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's go to 2011.
Okay, let's go.
I just can't effing get over it. We were talking in the morning meeting. It's 5 a.m. We haven't worked in 4 days. And I'm like, this man had 22 sacks. And it's not just the 22 sacks. It is the doing it on a 3-13 team, Allen, that I think makes it 100 times more impressive. You're down in games. People are trying to play it safe, run the clock, and you still came just half a sack away from the record. Do you need me to talk to the Hall of Fame, or what's going on?
Tell me about it. I don't know. You know what? The Hall of Fame, that's a whole nother, bag of issues we can get in. How much therapy time do we have today?
Go for it.
No, I'm kind of one of those things. I've always said, a gold jacket would be fantastic. It'd be great, but it's not going to make me, or, anything I was, or, become greater than anything I did, or blah, blah, blah. It was disappointing this last year. I'm not going to lie. I really thought that was the year I was getting in. I thought I was going to be in 2 years ago, but heck, it is what it is. So I try not to put stake in anything I don't have a control over. So, I just kind of like washed my hands of that scenario. But, I still argue, and you can ask Aaron Rodgers. I heard you talking about him earlier. I had 23 that year. They took a sack from me. Monday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers. They called it a muff on Wednesday. They gave it a team sack versus giving it to me. I'm on the team, so I should at least get a half of it. I'm the one that tackled the man. I took my 23rd sack, and there you go. That would be the record.
That's crazy. They need to go back and fix that. Question: if the Hall of Fame, whoever's running the show over there in Canton, they came to you and said, we'll let you in if you get rid of your mullet and you can never have a mullet ever again.
They can keep the jacket.
You're lying.
Never, ever. First of all, I'm not going to let someone tell me I have to cut my hair to get anything. I'm never going to be that.
I love you.
That's like telling me I have to put a jacket on to go eat at a restaurant, right? Sorry, not happening. I'll go eat at a different restaurant. It's America. You don't get to tell people what to do.
I love you, but you would turn down a bust in Canton, the Hall of Fame, all of that. You're riding with the mullet. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
I would be a sellout, and I mean that dead seriously. You can't sell out, right? If something can't do it.
Can't do it. That's all I needed to hear.
Because then my bust wouldn't have a mullet.
No, it would. You could definitely. That would be my sell for you to do it. But you'll be immortalized with a mullet in the Hall of Fame. Who cares what your hair looks like now? Let's get in the HOF. No. Because
then everybody that rocks a mullet, everybody that's been a part of the competition, everybody that's lived the authentic lifestyle of having a mullet would be like, that dude's a fraud. Look at him up on stage without his mullet. I've only cut it for a handful of times. I cut it for my wedding, reluctantly, but I did.
You cut it for your wedding, but you wouldn't cut it for the Hall of Fame. Do you hear yourself, Jared?
Yeah, I love my wife. No one at the Hall of Fame is on my top 5 list right now. It's amazing. So that's amazing. They're all on my top 5 craft list right now.
I have a question. If you get into the Hall of Fame, are you not wearing a suit?
Oh man, if they would let me cut the sleeves off the gold jacket, how tight would that be? That would be pretty sweet, like a sleeveless gold jacket. No, I'd probably wear a suit. I wore a suit when I got into the Ring of Honor of Minnesota. Again, like I said, I like putting the mullet in non-traditional looks. So,
yes.
I could suit it up. We can rock, Wranglers and a cowboy hat if we need to. But yeah, I'm sure if I got into the Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure my wife would make me wear a suit.
She seems to be the key, so that's good.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to tell you, I talked to a lot of great players about. We just had Sean Alexander. A lot of players about their eligibility. Devin Hester, year in year out about it. Now he's in. You have a great relationship, maybe the best I've heard. You have a great relationship with the Hall of Fame. Like and I mean that. I mean it earnestly. You have a great relationship with not letting it get the best of you. You're unemotional about it. The idea of the Hall of Fame. No. I think. Yeah. Why, do you not get along with the people there? They're not going to like that you wouldn't shave your hair.
Clearly not. I mean, it's been 4 years of rejections. Clearly somebody doesn't like me. It can't be a statistical basis
It's that
anymore.
effing sack, my friend. If you had the sack, we would have gotten in. 12th all-time in sacks. I mean, you have more than LT and J.J. Watt and Derrick Thomas and Dwight Freeney.
Yeah, a lot of people that are in the Hall of Fame, yeah. I actually made a joke to the Hall of Fame people. I said, I think I did too much too fast. If I would have just done less over a longer period of time, maybe they would let me in.
Yeah, you're like, sorry, I was so good for such a long time.
And I do. I take things with a grain of salt. I try not, again, was I upset when I didn't get the call this year? Absolutely. It's frustrating because whether you want it to let it or not, it's a little bit of a kick to your ego and all the hard work you put into the years. But at the end of the day, I mean, I say it all the time. It's not going to change my life. My family's not going to love me anymore, any less. It's not going to stop me from doing what I do from a day-to-day basis. So, again, I try to keep things in perspective. I try, actually Brock Purdy from a young quarterback. He had an incredible quote. I think it was going into the Super Bowl. Basically, people were talking about how, his contract and, how he's one of the least paid players and this, and what does he thinks he deserves. And his comment, I'm obviously not going to quote it, word for word here, but
I'll look it up.
he basically came out and said, it'd be very arrogant. He praised everybody else, right? And he was just like, it'd be very arrogant of me to be, to think that I was like the sole purpose of this and that I was so deserving, yada, yada, yada. So I thought his perspective on that, on just kind of being humble and taking what God gives him and, controlling what he can control and, not making it be about him. Obviously he's very deserving of being, one of the top paid quarterbacks in the NFL, but he constantly was talking about others and just brought up that, it's not about me. And so, I try to keep that in perspective, going through life. And, I played a game for a living. Where the chips fall after that is what it is.
It's a good call. And Brock Purdy, a shout out. I didn't know that was inspiring to you.
Especially for a quarterback. It's hard to give me any quarterback credit for anything.
Listen, of course. He didn't steal a sack from you, though, so you like Brock Purdy, and you probably hope he goes and beats Aaron Rodgers' ass this year. Speaking of quarterbacks,
we'll see.
Yeah, last time I talked to you, I asked you a very easy question, like, what should they do with Kirk Cousins? And you said, is this a contract year or whatever? And I said, yeah. And you said, bye. And it went crazy. Yeah. People on Twitter were like, whoa, and lo and behold, bye happened. And he goes to Atlanta. And they, of course, in true Kirk Cousins, I don't even know how he gets so lucky. Not lucky, but being rich, rather. 25 to 30 mil if he stayed. So he goes and he gets 45 mil from the Falcons. Your thoughts on the deal and, of course, on then drafting Penix to Atlanta soon after?
Oh, I mean, great for Kirk Cousins. There was actually, I think they wrote a Wall Street Journal article about it, just about why he keeps getting paid, right? Like, he stays long enough. He's always the best available. And, somehow he has that magic genie in the bottle to where he has just to keep getting paid. I think he's like one of the 5th highest players all time. They earn money earners in the league, like in history. It's crazy. So, again, I'm glad the Vikings didn't spend $45 million. Like I said, it's nothing against Kirk Cousins, but I mean, when you're trying to rebuild an organization, I don't think, mid-30s quarterback coming off an Achilles heel is where you want to, Achilles tear, is where you want to spend your money. So I am shocked that Atlanta drafted Penix so high. I thought Penix was a good college player. That's one of those things, that high of a pick, there's expectations. Kurtz has a bad game. And they're going to expect him to come in and play. So that's kind of a tough situation. But if all goes well, Kurt plays well, I think it's going to be really good for Penix to sit behind him for a couple years and learn. And I think you see, look what happened with Aaron, right? You talk about Aaron, you talk about some of these quarterbacks that sat for a full year, if not a couple years, and they come in and they seem to have a better grasp on the NFL versus throwing them in to the fire. Now, I think McCarthy coming in, we have the right coach, McConnell. We have the right system. We have the right players around him for him to be successful. I think you just have to throw the ball in the general direction of some of the receivers we got in Minnesota, and you're going to be successful. So I like what Minnesota did, letting Kurt go. Kudos to Kurt for going and breaking the bank with Atlanta.
Again.
For the 5th time. And so, again, it all worked out.
But wait, you didn't like the idea of paying Kirk. Are you into the idea of paying Justin? You're saying whether it's
100%. Pay him.
Tell me why. And what? He could push for 40 mil.
Give it to him.
Why?
He changes the game. He opens up your run game. He gives you the ability to score anytime, anywhere. He is a quarterback's best friend. So if McCarthy's going to be your franchise quarterback, you cannot let him go. You can't. He becomes the centerpiece of your team, and you got to protect him on the O-line, and you got to, if you have the ability, that kid has the ability to be. I mean, he is already so special, but I mean, he has the ability to change games, and what that does to a defense, knowing like playing against guys, that have been those game changers, playing against the Megatrons of the world, where you have to bracket, you got to put 2 on him. So even if he doesn't have a game where he's has 200 yards or 150, whatever it is. The fact that you have to acquire 2 people to him all the time just makes it harder to play defense and makes it easier to play offense.
Break the bank for Justin Jefferson, guys. Get it done, whoever the quarterback is. And we'll wrap it with the sack. We found it. Let's take a look. I'll be the judge of this. Talk me through this. Okay.
I mean, he made a football move, so that's a fumble. That's not a muff. They
It's
called that a muff.
clearly your sack. What?
They took that from me, gave it a team sack. That is the 23rd sack. I mean, he makes a football move, and he can still pick that ball up and run with it. They called that a muff.
I have a question for
you. That is a fumble. That is a sack.
Jared, where was the rest of the team? Show that again. Where's the rest of your team?
We were 3-13 that year.
But where were they on this play? What's going on? Oh, there we go. I feel like you were alone here.
Kevin's close by. But that is not by the rule. The muff would have to be on the snap. He caught the ball. He makes a football move. He pumps the ball. He drops it. They called that a team sack. That is right there on record, 23 sacks. I am the rightful owner of the single season sack title. And this is not even for debate. They gave it to me, took it from me away on Wednesday.
Do you know why? Was there any discussion? And what is the appeal process?
I appealed it for years. They called it a muff. They said he didn't have full control. Yeah, he didn't have full control of the football. I'm like, he shuffled over the pocket, he exited the pocket, ran with it, and dropped the ball. And he could pick that ball up and still throw it. So
Have you talked?
They gave it's a team sack.
Have you talked to Aaron about this?
Oh yeah, Aaron wholeheartedly agrees it was a sack and that I'm the rightful. That's why we get along so well.
That's why. Okay, so let's pick a pass rusher. Let's manifest. We're going to get a sack in your name, okay? We're going to do what we can here. Pick a pass rusher that's going to just take it to Aaron Rodgers this year, and it'll count for you. Who would you like to see?
Who's on the schedule?
I don't know. Just a hypothetical, Jared.
It's a hypothetical. Okay. Goodness.
Crosby?
I think Crosby could. I'm a Danielle Hunter fan. I really am. I'm a huge Danielle Hunter fan. So I think he could do it. Crosby's another good one. He's been having a really good last couple of years. And I'll be honest. I got to give T.J. Watt his credit. That dude's a monster. And so I'm trying to. Micah Parsons. Let me go with Micah Parsons. He's a little dirtier. He just has a little more edge and attitude to him. So I feel like when he hits Aaron or hits the quarterback,
do the Cowboys play them?
He has a little more ill intent. So I'm going to go with someone who has a little more ill intent.
I don't know. The Cowboys play the Jets. Maybe in the Super Bowl.
I named like 4 of them,
it.
so one of them's got to come.
It doesn't matter. Micah, just go get to East Rutherford and sack the you-know-what out of Aaron Rodgers for our friend, Jared Allen. Appreciate you and your mullet and the fact that you would rather have that than the Hall of Fame shows just how amazing you are. Love you, man.
See ya. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.